My father actually had a grenade hit his back as well when he was in the military
Hmm.
here in Canada, and I was telling him last night that you had the same thing happen. Could you tell us that situation?
Yeah, it was actually the first time I was wounded um, in the fall of 2012, and we got ambushed as we were driving to go do something. We got ambushed from a village that would end up being what we found out pretty quickly was one of the major Taliban strongholds within Wardak province. We'd only been on the ground for a few weeks when this happened, so we were driving to go do one of our missions, and we get ambushed on the way. And myself and a handful of our guys, we dismount off our vehicles. We begin dismounted fire and maneuver towards this village, and we ended up being like wildly over our heads, and hyper aggressive, too aggressive. And as we were clearing through in an urban environment, which is incredibly complex and incredibly dangerous and difficult, with a really small element, as we were set to breach into this courtyard, which is where one of the two-story structures was that was unloading on our vehicles and some of our other guys with a belt-fed machine gun. Um, Something exploded from behind me. Turns out it was some sort of a grenade, and it just smashed me into the back of the shoulder. I looked back, and there was about a lemon-sized hole in the back of my shoulder. And this was the first time any of us were any kind of seriously wounded. In comparison, this really wasn't all that serious of an injury as we progressed within this deployment, where guys were losing limbs and guys were being killed. This was a paper cut compared to what we would eventually have to deal with. But it was the first time any of us had been wounded, so it was kind of this holy shit moment. Um, I wanted to continue doing what we were doing. We fought our way all the way to get to this building, and we were there. And I didn't want to abort the mission because of what happened to me. One of my teammates came over. He slammed some gauze into it, grabbed an ace bandage, wrapped it up with a pressure dressing, and it was fine. I was good to go, but our team sergeant was there with us, and he said, "No, no, no. Let's get out of this situation and let's get back to one of the vehicles and kind of reconsolidate, and then take a closer look at what we're doing." It's impossible to know what was on the other side of that door that we were about to breach. It could have been a really bad day. I'd like to think that my injury, which is as minimal as it really was, could have perhaps saved some lives, because again, we were a little over our head on that day. So it was an important learning point for all of us, particularly for our detachment leadership, to be taking a little bit more calculated moves here, because not only were we operating in an environment that had a lot of enemy activity, but these guys are fighters. Like Wardak province, Afghanistan historically is known for having some extremely resilient fighters. These guys will dig in and they will duke it out with you, and they know what they're doing. So that was a wake up call for us that we took that lesson and applied it moving forward.